Thank you, Chairman Smith, for giving me the opportunity to introduce the PEAKS Act. As I've said many times before this committee, I come from a rural and mountainous state. Due to the topographical challenges of West Virginia, many of my hospitals qualify as critical access hospitals. This means that they are in a rural area, at least 35 miles from the next health care provider, and have no more than 25 beds in the hospital. These hospitals receive cost-based reimbursement to help them stay afloat and maintain access to care for patients in rural areas. Critical access hospitals also receive cost-based reimbursement for providing ambulatory services, as long as there is no other ambulance provider within 35 miles of their hospital. In areas with no other ambulance provider, the ability for critical access hospitals to provide ambulance services is absolutely life-saving. In some mountainous areas, 35 miles can take over an hour just to travel. So CMS created the mountainous terrain exception. This allows hospitals in rugged areas to qualify as critical access hospital with only a 15-mile radius from another provider. The mountainous terrain exception is critical for my home state, as it has the most mountainous critical access hospitals in the country. Overall, though, I should note that only 31 critical access hospitals in the country qualify as mountainous, so we are really talking about a small number of the most remote hospitals in the country. Unfortunately, when the mountainous terrain exception was created, parity was not included for ambulance services. And this means that even though these mountainous critical access hospitals qualify for the designation with a 15-mile radius, their ambulance services must still meet the standard of a 35-mile radius requirement. My bill fixes this issue by simply allowing critical access hospitals in mountainous areas to receive fair compensation for their ambulance services. This common sense bill will help rural hospitals provide these much needed ambulance services to patients in the most remote areas in the country. I would also like to note that this bill does nothing to destabilize existing ground ambulance payments for EMS providers. This fix is only addressing hospital-based ambulance services for the 31 mountainous critical access hospitals across the country. For a hospital to be able to receive these payments, they must be both a mountainous critical access hospital and have no other ambulance providers within a 15-mile radius of their facility. I am a staunch supporter of making sure that EMS and ambulance services are reimbursed fairly and will continue to advocate for policies that achieve that goal. In fact, the bill we just marked up and passed through committee a few minutes ago provided additional add-on payments for rural and super rural ground ambulance services. I hope all members of this committee can support this common sense bill that creates parity for our most remote rural hospitals. I look forward to this bill passing out of committee favorably and continuing through regular order to reach the House floor. Thank you, and I yield back.